So I'm sure you guys remember the video I did about Roger Jackson and his basically attempted murder on Psycho Stu. And I was wondering what exactly compelled Roger Jackson to do that. Who was in his head? Who gassed him up to think that this was the kind of behavior of a man who's tough, who can't be punked, who's a real G, whatever the case might be? Who put this in his head? Now, thanks to the internet, you know, the most undefeated realm in existence, clips have come out where Rampage Jackson has been clowning his son, speaking negatively of his son, most of it honestly like semi-innocent trolling, but you begin to see exactly where the seeds were planted, and there needs to be a conversation about toxic masculinity even when fathers are present. Because this is a clear case of Roger Jackson having his head polluted with absolute insanity by his dad and feeling like he's in the shadow of his dad, with it all culminating in him, Roger Jackson, a grown man, by the way. You know, he's not a kid. I know I called him a kid in my last video. I didn't realize he was 25, a whole year older than me. It culminated in him trying to kill Psycho Stu. Let's look at it.
Hey, yo, did you get jumped by a bunch of dudes in tights? You said what? Your stream, you was hugging on a dude in some damn tights. Man, shut the fuck up. Man, you shut the fuck up. I looked at your stream, nigga, you were hugging on some dude in some booty shorts. I wasn't fucking hugging on nobody. I saw you, nigga. I saw you hugging on your coach. Sexual fantasy. You need to stop that shit. No, I don't got no sexual. Not around a bunch of dudes with some damn fucking pro wrestling show. Exactly. Watch. My dad can't never call me a bitch. Straight up. How many subs to knock him out? That's a good question. I'm gonna fake crash out. All right, bet. You about to see how fake of a crash out I am.
So here he says in the video, my dad can never call me a bitch. So you can clearly see the relationship that these two have. It's not healthy. You know, if you're a dad and every single second you spend with your son is constantly testing and trying to degrade his development into manhood and masculinity, you're not doing an effective job. And this is a recurring theme specifically in the black community, and you're not supposed to bring this up in like left-wing black spaces, but this is a negative aspect of toxic masculinity. Well, toxic masculinity is negative in general, but this is one of the toxic aspects of masculinity that plagues the black community. All communities deal with toxic masculinity, but this in particular is very common in the black community, where black dads go way too far with trying to make sure their son's not a punk, not soft, not this, not that. And you can tell that this kid is dealing with the psychological stress of his dad for whatever reason, just not believing in him, not having all that much faith in him, constantly testing his masculinity, his manhood, testing his abilities, his confidence. It's clearly getting to this kid. Now, obviously, you can tell Rampage Jackson in the video is trolling. He's not seriously, like, you know, getting at his son. He's mostly joking. However, Roger Jackson's not taking it like a joke. He's not taking it well. Then you add in the aspect of Roger Jackson constantly being overshadowed by his father. If you guys are paying attention to the incident with Psycho Stu, after Roger Jackson and Psycho Stu have their little incident and they're trying to patch things up and apologize and make up, the wrestler in the cowboy hat with the Marine tattoo, he starts talking about, oh, that's Rampage's son, you know, Rampage got to get involved, you know, just joking around. But you can tell that Roger Jackson is not taking kindly to his dad constantly being brought up. He's constantly being compared to his dad. Constant. He wants to be himself. He wants to have a chance to be his own man, to shine. And instead of getting that opportunity, it's Rampage this, Rampage that. Now add that in conjunction with Rampage himself constantly clowning you, and you can see where things start to go.
Nah, you just involved fucking Rampage himself, cause that's his boy.
Yeah, I can handle myself. Yeah, I can handle myself.
Rampage gonna come whoop your ass. You don't need his dad. He handle his own shit.
Yeah, I got my own shit. Yeah.
So you can clearly tell, like, there's this issue of being under his father's shadow that he's obviously dealing with. This kid has a significant amount of insecurity as it pertains to his masculinity and his development as a young man. And Rampage just isn't helping. In a situation like this, you need a dad who's not constantly poking holes in your masculinity, but is trying his best to point out where you're going wrong, patch that up and fix that up, but give you the confidence and the self-belief necessary to confront the challenges that life will throw at you with maturity, with poise, with confidence. But you can tell that he's not receiving that. And that's why Roger Jackson's immediate thought after the situation was, I'm going to get my lick back. I'm going to get this back. I'm going to do, I'm going to that. I'm going to prove this. I'm going to prove that. Because he's constantly having his perception of himself, his perception of his masculinity being toyed with by his father. Now, Rampage Jackson said something about Raja that ended up coming true. And it is quite unfortunate that he said this, but Rampage Jackson spoke about the fact that he had bail money saved up for his two full black sons, and he had college tuition money saved up for his two half Japanese children. You cannot make this level of self-hatred up.
If you go to Rogers and his oldest son whole life, I knew them two wasn't going to college. And my two Japanese kids, I knew that it was going to college. So I saved up college tuition for the two Japanese kids and bail money for Roger and his brother. So don't fuck with him. If you go to jail, I'm just going to bail him out.
So you can tell that Rampage already knows that Raja is possibly liable to crash out. You can tell Rampage, in his mind, thinks that Raja is liable to crash out, meaning he already knew from jump that Raja had a darkness in him that was not being properly taken care of. And instead of trying his best to get that out of Raja, he's constantly poking at it, calling him gay, clowning him, joking on him. Now, by the way, a lot of what Rampage is funny, you know what I'm saying? He almost said Japa nigga, and then he says Japanese. Like he's obviously, he's a funny guy, but you can see where the problems are. And the self-hatred here where he's like, oh, I got college tuition money saved up for my Japanese children, but I have bail money saved up for my full black children. Why aren't you trying to raise and mold your full black children like your Japanese children are being molded by their mother? Have you tried that? Have you tried to make sure that your children who are fully black don't feel like their identity needs to be one wrapped in violence and hyper-aggression? As much as we talk about how other races view us, we view ourselves this way, and we do our best, unfortunately, not all of us, but a lot of us do our best to perpetuate this kind of mindset and instill it in young black men. It's dangerous, and it culminates in shit like this, where Roger Jackson might actually go to jail. And he might not get bond. Who's to say? I don't know. California's lax. Who's to say what might happen? But look at what happened. Look at what it culminated in. The dude tried to murder somebody over nothing. Psycho Stu didn't think Roger Jackson was a bitch. Psycho Stu apologized multiple times. Psycho Stu reached his hand out multiple times and said, I am sorry. That's not what someone does when they think you a bitch. I promise you that. I can tell you that firsthand. I've had my fair share of fights. I've had my fair share of confrontations. I've had my fair share of situations where I had to put my foot down. And I can tell you, I always looked for an opportunity to squash it, because fights aren't worth it, bro. There's nothing cool about a fight. It ain't cool. I'm sure some of y'all who are familiar with my older content, not older, but past videos know that I fist fought with a broken ankle. I couldn't even walk, but I was in a situation where I had no choice but to fight because the person I was dealing with was not willing to diffuse the problem. If you can avoid a fight, avoid a fight. The problem is that Rampage is constantly goading this kid into this mindset, goading him into wanting to do this kind of shit, instilling this mindset in him. You think Rampage Jackson hasn't encouraged that kind of wild, insane energy in Raja? Listen to the way he talks about Raja. You think he hasn't told Raja, I got bail money saved up for you? You shouldn't be telling your child this kind of stuff. What you tell them, they absorb. They are your children. You to them are a superhero. You to them are the image of everything they want to be. When you're telling them, oh, I got bail money saved up for you, in their mind, either they're thinking, damn, this is what I have to do in order to be considered a man by my father, or, wow, my dad thinks I'm tough. My dad thinks I'm this. My dad thinks I'm that. All it serves to do is perpetuate toxic masculinity. This is toxic masculinity before our very eyes, unfortunately. And look what it culminates in. This man almost killed Psycho Stu, and look at the rant he goes on when he's done with it. Look at the rant he goes on after he's left the venue. You can tell that this kid has had his brain fried by his father's perception of what manhood is supposed to be.
Everybody fucking playing with me and shit. Think I'm always playing and shit. Call me bitch and shit. Not no fucking bitch, bro. At the end of the day, I'ma stand up for my fucking self because I'm tired of everybody fucking playing with me, bro. Real shit.
You know, the reality is that he's talking about his dad. He is 100% talking about his dad. I guarantee you he is talking about his dad. He is not talking about anybody else but his dad. When he sits there and says, I'm tired of people calling me a bitch, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that, Psycho Stu did not think you were a bitch. As I've said before, Psycho Stu offered multiple apologies even when Raja wasn't willing to shake his hand. Which I can understand in the moment. You can be upset, you can feel humiliated, I get it, you might not want to shake the hand. Trying to murder him, on the other hand, that's a completely different level of upset. That's escalation beyond any reasonable boundary of how we should conduct ourselves in society. He's ranting and raving about how I'm not no bitch, real shit, this, that, and the third. Bro, they didn't treat you like you were a bitch. They all did everything in their power to make sure you felt like you were comfortable. Stu apologized. His homeboys were like, man, Stu tripping, bro. He thought you were part of this. He thought you were part of that, bro. He's got to chill. Everyone around you made sure you understood that they did not think you were a bitch. Had they really thought you was a bitch, they would have grabbed that fucking can, threw it at you again, laughed at you. They would have laughed at you, bro. They would have clowned on you. Man, what you getting mad for, nigga? You all in your feelings and shit, man. Soft ass nigga. They would have really done you like that. But they didn't. Why? Because they're decent fucking people, bro. How you gonna take out your frustration and your rage on decent people? But you see where it comes from. Toxic masculinity, which all races have, by the way. But I'm familiar with this brand of it. This brand, this fucking, you know what I'm saying? When you go to Publix, you got great value and all that. Yeah. Oh, that's Walmart. Hold on a minute. You get the point, though. You know, I'm familiar with this brand of toxic masculinity, my G. And, this has to stop. This just has to fucking stop. Like, what does it even mean to not be no bitch? To, like, be willing to die over anything? To kill over anything? What does it matter, dog? Like, the level of destruction you're willing to bring to your life and the lives of others to prove you're not a bitch. Like, where does that land you? Prison forever? Like, what do you win? Like, what do you gain? Well, seriously, I'm curious. I'm trying to understand this. The unfortunate reality is that Roger Jackson has had his perception of masculinity warped and just fucked up by his dad over and over and over and over and over again. Over again, he's constantly being poked at by his dad, constantly being mocked by his dad. There's even a clip where his dad, you know, calls him gay as a joke, which, you know, it was a funny clip. But when you add in all the other clips we've seen, the clips of him saying he's saving up bond money for Raja, basically saying he doesn't believe in his ability to be successful in life. You know, him, you know, calling him up saying, I heard you got jumped by a bunch of men in tights and in underwear and all of this stuff. And you can tell that Rampage does not see toughness in his son, which is whatever. His son is an MMA fighter. I don't really know what more Rampage wants from him, but like you can tell, like the poking at Raja is getting to him and he's not able to handle it. He does not have the stability necessary to be able to just laugh it off over and over and over again and just ignore it. These are just the clips that we see in public of Rampage and Raja interacting, much less what goes on behind the scenes that might compel Raja to behave in a crazy way.
You want to be straight? We already got in a fight once.
Oh, really?
2 years ago?
Yeah.
He sucker punched me.
Well, I saw the slap.
How'd that go for
Was
you?
that?
And what'd you do? Did you slam him on his head?
Oh, yeah. That motherfucker to the hospital that day.
Yeah.
I never get guillotined on nobody. I didn't want to keep punching him, so I guillotined him and he wouldn't tap out. And
You put him to sleep?
yeah.
So at this point, it begs the question, like, what more does Raja have to do? He sucker punches Rampage Jackson, refuses to tap out to a guillotine by Rampage Jackson. What more do you need your son to do to prove to you that he's at least somewhat tough? Sucker punch is crazy, but at least he wasn't willing to tap out. He was willing to go the distance. What the fuck else is Raja supposed to do? Toxic masculinity has to stop. This is toxic masculinity in its purest form. In its purest form. And it begs the fucking question, what has any of this done for Roger Jackson? What productive skills has he learned from not being a bitch? Nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. Nothing he's acquired from any of this has led him to become anything successful, to become anything productive. It's landed him in a situation where he almost killed a man. We as a society, especially in these red pill times of misogyny and anti-black racism and all of this stuff going on, we need to be cognizant and aware of toxic masculinity and negativity, because this is it right here. This man Rampage basically had zero faith in his son, constantly spoke negatively of him, and you can tell that Raja obviously has some demons he's dealing with as a result of his father's treatment of him. From what we've seen in public, it seems jokey and silly, but even jokes can drive people crazy at some point. Even jokes. Me and my boys were leaving a club like not that long ago, and there was like a group of people in the fucking parking lot going crazy over a joke, arguing with each other, like crazy argument. Like it lasted for like 20 minutes, screaming and everything. Bro, at some point, jokes either aren't funny or they hit a sore spot and it's no longer funny. I don't know what else to say. Like, there has to be some kind of a conversation about this. We can't keep sitting here talking about how, you know, because what I don't like is like the conversation is like, oh, the single black mother can't raise these boys. They're raising feminine boys. And then it's like, well, look at what the fuck look at what's going on when the wrong father is present. You get shit like this. And people don't want to talk about this, because if you bring up this aspect of our culture, you know, you're considered anti-black or whatever. But what's not considered anti-black is people who think that black people are supposed to be violent. And if you're not, you're soft or you a bitch. And that not being violent, not being ready to crash out, not being crazy somehow makes you a soft ass nigga. It just, and frankly, I never really saw the point, because all of the niggas who were really about that life, that went to jail and fucking, you know, came out, every single one of these old heads I met in my life, they say the same thing. Don't get involved in them streets, stay in school, da 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 da. Bro, all of these niggas who have done it all, they're either dead and they can't tell you to stay out the streets because they're fucking dead, or they went to prison, came out, realized how valuable life and time is, and start encouraging the next generation to stay away from that. Why, like, I understand why people, you know, will not give a fuck about what old heads have to say. If you're really living in the trenches, it's a lot harder to just take advice. But it's like, as a culture, as a collective, a lot of stuff going on we need to reject. Because we will not speak about this, but unfortunately, a lot of black people do perceive black people this way. And it'll be your most pro-black types who will sit there and perpetuate stereotypes and narratives that black people are supposed to act like this. And if a young black boy doesn't act like this, he a punk, he's soft, he a bitch. We don't talk about how in our community, we do treat young black men like adults when they're kids. We talk about how white people do it and non-black people do it. We do it in the worst way, where we fucking try to turn them into like fucking, you know, like, I don't know, whatever Roger Jackson fucking is, instead of just letting them be young men, boys, and let them mold them into a positive image of masculinity. We don't talk about this in our culture because I guess it's just a taboo topic to bring up. It's like, oh, you can't say that because that's anti-black or whatever. Okay, cool. Sure it is. Ultimately, bro, toxic masculinity needs to be stopped. It's taking over this country. We see the white community's flavor of it taking over the world with Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit, MAGA. Okay, it's been going on far too long in all communities. But, you know, the brand of it that I'm seeing in this video is very familiar to me. And it's unfortunate that Raja was not able to come to a point of maturity and clarity to stop himself from throwing his life away as a result of this toxic masculinity. It's a damn shame, but it is what it is.